would like to talk to you in this video about the tyranny of the North, a term from this book right here, which I will be reviewing, and the destruction of the white Nordic people. I was going to do kind of a fancy intro to this whole thing and you know, some things, scenery out in the snow and everything here. I live in northern Maine, and we're going to do some things there, you know, going out in the woods doing some work with an axe or something. But I just want to get right to the subject, to be very honest with you, because it's very important. For many years I have seen this trend in the West, be it Europe and also North America, of an agenda against white people. We're supposed to feel guilty for slavery, even when many of our ancestors were not even involved in it. My ancestors came to Pennsylvania over 300 years ago. We didn't have slaves. They were pacifists. I'm not a pacifist, just for the record. But we were blamed in school for many of the bad things, and as time has gone on, this blame has gotten worse. And now colonialism and imperialism and all these other things. And they just leave out the fact that the whites did a lot of good for different nations, including North America. And there's this agenda that's there. It's so disgusting, because we are very tolerant, very open-minded people as white North Americans, white Europeans. We don't hate other people. All right, that's a bunch of nonsense. But the other races, be they black or Hispanic or, you know, indigenous people here in North America or whatever, a lot of them are being trained to hate us. And they're all the DEI hires and the woke agenda and all this other stuff. And they're just constantly, the media is constantly putting this stuff out there. And again, I could show some clips from that, but I don't need to show it. You know that it's out there if you're white. And this study will be primarily to white people, by the way, because that's what I am. I'm a white man of Nordic heritage, primarily German. I'm wearing my black watch tartan shirt here, one of the patterns, because my maternal grandmother was a Campbell, going back the whole way to Robert the Bruce. So I don't have any other blood in me or whatever else. It's purely white, European, German, Scottish, Highlander, Swedish, you know, Swiss, mostly that. There's some British and things in me as well. But I heard this thing growing up, different times, of my grandparents. You know, they were very concerned with who their grandchildren would marry. And I didn't really understand that at the time, and I understand it now. I understand what's going on. And, you know, there were anti-miscegenation laws here in America until 1962, when two Jewish Jesuit-trained lawyers overthrew it, the Loving versus Virginia case. And again, a lot of this stuff didn't make sense to me growing up. And I would see the thing of, you know, most of my friends growing up were white boys and things, and, you know, had white girls come to my birthday parties and things as I was growing up as a little boy. And we got along. You know, I liked it. There wasn't any kind of a racist, prejudice thing or anything there. It's just I wanted to be around children that were like me. We had similar family traditions, similar things we did at the holidays and whatever else, and it just worked out nice. I was never raised to hate anybody based on their skin color. But what's happening is now these people of different skin color can hate on me. And so as I've been studying this thing over the years, as I've been researching it, I heard about this thing of this Kalergi plan. And, you know, you fact check it, you go to the Wikipedia thing or whatever else, and it says, oh, that's been debunked. There's nothing, there's no agenda there or whatever else. And this is the book right here. This is a reprint. This is not, this was written originally in German. In 1925, which would have been before Hitler showed up, by the way, which I'll show you some interesting thing. There's racism in here, but it's against white people. So this came out before Mein Kampf, and yet Mein Kampf is demonized, and this is not, because it lifts up a certain group of people, which we'll be talking about here. I'm going to show you the quotes. So, you know, I was challenged many years ago by a guy at a Baptist church I went to back before I had enough sense to get out of that system. And this guy said, people like you, he said, you never go to the original source documents and verify the quotes and whatever else. And I took that as a challenge. He made it as an attack against me, but I took it as a challenge, and I thought, from now on, I'm going to try to go to the original source documents. So this man here is Count Richard Coudenhove Kalergi, 1894 to 1972. All right, let me show you this. I have an overhead camera. I can show the documents with this. Let me show you the little thing here about him on the back of the book. So there we have it. You can read that. I'm not going to take the time to read it, but you can see that he is of Austro-Hungarian origin by his father and Japanese by his mother. Okay? So this man was mingled. He's not a white European. And that led him to certain conclusions. That actually mingled people are in many ways superior to people that are unmingled. All right? And it led him to some very racist things that he says in here. And this guy, if you don't know, basically was the one who formed the basis for the European Union, bringing all the countries together and then also flooding immigrants into Europe and ultimately into North America to destroy the white races. And that's exactly what it's all about. And I'm going to show you from his writings that that's what the intention was and is currently. All right. So, but before I get started on that, I want to explain something else. I'm going to start out. I'm a Bible-believing preacher. And I want to show you something rather interesting in the King James Bible. I made this statement. People said, could you back it up? And I could do a whole study on this. But I'm just going to make a quick mention of this. Isaiah chapter 14 in the King James Bible. I'm going to read a couple verses here, 3 verses, and you'll see something rather interesting. In this passage, God is speaking to Lucifer. Many people call him Satan or the devil. And here's what he says. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven, I will exalt my throne above the stars of God, I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation, in the sides of the north. I will ascend upon the heights of the clouds, I will be like the Most High, yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. Where is God located? According to the Bible. Not according to your feelings or beliefs. So I'm saying according to the scriptures, where is God's throne? It is in the north. That's the north direction, right back that way. Okay, that's why I'm pointing that way. South is that way. All right. God sits in the north. And there's plenty of other verses of scripture that talk about that. All right. And there's some interesting scientific theories on that, about how that if you get to a point of sub-zero temperature, it would basically stop time from happening. If you like, an eternity. Rather interesting. So when I've heard a lot of pagan people, Nordic type people, and they'll come out and they'll say that the God of the Bible is a sheep herder's God of the Middle East or something like this. A bunch of Jewish shepherds out there in the plains of Israel or something, and that's their God. No, actually, God is a northern God, a true Nordic God. And I did a whole study on the Havamal and a lot of the Norse paganism and things. And it's basically, it all comes from Snorri Sturluson, I think it was, back in the 11th century. And it's just basically a cheap knockoff of a lot of the concepts of Scripture. And you would do well to study that. Okay, you can watch my videos at the end to see that your pagan beliefs a lot of times actually are stolen from the Bible. Because Snorri Sturluson was a Roman Catholic. It's a whole other study, which I've already done. But I want to show you some quotes now from this book here, and I'm going to tie in some things here. What is important about this? Because this is a huge concept here. This isn't just some kind of little rantings or little funny thing. There is a thing about the northern realms. That's when you get closer to God and how God lives and how the understanding about God is. All right? There's a lot of really deep things here. And if you stick with me through the study, you're going to see what I'm talking about. I'll just say it this way to kind of whet your appetite a little bit. Look at all the different militaries, the different armies that have tried to conquer the northern realms. The Romans trying to go up into Germania and then over to Britannia and things, and trying to get up into the Nordic realms, and they're having all kinds of trouble with it. You see, most people on the earth, they can live almost anywhere, but very few people can live in the north. There's a reason for that. And this guy understands it, and he called it the Northern Tyranny, the Nordic tyranny. It takes a special kind of person to live up here. And the only reason you get a lot of other people living up here that are non-white races is because they're using things like technology to live here, which is exactly what he says. And remember, as we're reading through this book, as I'm showing you the quotes in this book, this was written in 1925. 1925, when a lot of people still didn't have electrical, grid-tied electricity. Okay? 1925, when there were no televisions back then. You had to go to the silent movies, the talkies, and then the talkies came out later on and whatever else. Yeah. So, show you some fascinating things about this book. So we will get started here. We're going to go to page 12. And I'll show you some interesting things here. So here we have page 12, and he says, because nature in the north was a challenge to people, other tribes succumbed. The Europeans accepted the challenge and fought. They fought until they were strong enough to subdue the earth. They fought until they forced the very nature which had challenged them to serve them. And over here he says about, it is only with modern times that, with its technological age, the liberation war against winter begins. Now, I remember seeing pictures. I used to live up in Bridgewater, Maine, which is to the north of us. We're here in Patten, Maine, near the north entrance of Baxter State Park, famously the start or finish of the Appalachian Trail. Okay, so we're near the north entrance to that. But I remember seeing pictures of when we were up in Bridgewater, of the men in wintertime, before they had snowplows. And these guys are out there shoveling. And there's, sleighs and things that they draw. They have horse-drawn sleighs. You go to New Sweden, they have pictures of the Swedish settlers up there getting around on skis. It was a different world back then. And you wouldn't have the thing of the, plowed, salted roads. That came later. That came with technology. But here's the interesting thing. Will this technology, is it just a regular part of life now and it'll never end? I don't think so. I think that there will come a day when the resources will not be allocated to plowing roads and things and keeping the power grid going up here in the north. Now, if that happens, would that be a free place to live? If you can live there and survive there? However many months, 6 months out of the year, and there's no road access, no power? Could that happen eventually? Yeah, I think that's what's coming. But the people are here today because of technology. Page 14. Let's look at this. Mankind will organize one day and wrest from the earth everything that she denies us today. Now, if you're aware of this channel, from 2017 up until early 2024, for 7 years, we fought against a mining company mining just to the north of our property. My property is even further north than this office right here. But Wolfton Mining, they wanted to come in here and they wanted to mine the area. And it was going to poison, they definitely would have poisoned lakes and in streams and everything. And we're saying, we really don't want that in the area here. I don't want to be hearing explosives going off and feeling the rumbling and whatever. No, thank you. We like to have our nice, crystal clear springs and streams and things with native brook trout in it. We really don't want the thing here. But you see what he said there, mankind will organize one day. What does that mean? Mankind will organize? Does it mean, get your papers and effects in order and things? No, it means that they're going to come together as a globalist type of system. We won't have nations, sovereign nations anymore. It'll just be one big global empire. We'll organize one day and wrest from the earth everything that she denies us today. Like China's already doing in Africa and many other countries where they do open pit mining. Hey, it's going to kill the native population. Whatever. We need our smartphones. We need our technology. We need our 5G and our 6G eventually and whatever else. And the only way to have that is with our rare earth minerals. Where do you think they're getting it from? You people in the city that are watching this, where do you think the rare earth minerals come from? They come from the natural areas, like where I live. I don't want that, and I'm going to fight that. But you see, again, technology to conquer the north. Let's continue here. We'll go to page 26 next. Now here he gets into some of the thing of the different race type of stuff. And again, remember, he's writing this. Okay, I'm just showing you what it says. Page 26. As a rule, urbanites are a miscegenational, mixed race. The result is that mixed breeds often supplement their lack of character, lack of inhibitions, weakness of will, inconsistency, impiety, and disloyalty with objectivity, versatility, mental restlessness, freedom from prejudices, and a broader horizon. Mixed breeds are always different from their parents and grandparents. Each generation is a variation of the previous one, either in terms of evolution or degeneration. Okay? Now he wrote that. He is mixed himself. This guy right here, he's mixed Austro-Hungarian and Japanese. All right? He's mixed, and he's saying this is what mixed people are. You know, lack of inhibitions, lack of character, weakness of will. He's the one that wrote that. Okay, now if I say that, oh, I'm a racist. See, it's so weird. You know, black people can make fun of other black people and say words about other black people, which I can't say on YouTube, but you know what I'm saying. And oh, that's fine. But a white man says it, and all of a sudden, no, it's not fine. You know, it's hate speech. And I literally had a video just taken down a few days ago where I was actually trying to warn Jewish people in America. And I said, America crystal knocked 2024. I was saying that I'm seeing some things, some real rises in real strong anti-Semitism with all this war crime stuff that Israel's doing in Gaza. And I'm seeing the pro-Palestinian people. And I'm thinking, man, and I was trying to warn the Jewish people, and it got taken down as hate crime. Because I said the evil word crystal knocked. And I tried to appeal it, and I couldn't even write anything. It said appeal here, and I appealed, and I was thinking, okay, I can just write and say I was trying to warn them. I'm not trying to be mean. And it didn't even let me write anything. We'll review it again. And they wrote back in about 5 minutes, no, we're taking the video down. And your channel is getting a warning, not a strike and whatever else. But I've had so many videos taken down over hate crime stuff and whatever else. You know, I mean, I've been one strike away, channel strike away from having my whole channel deleted multiple times. So I do my best here on YouTube, but you know, I try to speak as I can, but it's YouTube. But let's continue here. It says, now look what he calls people that are of, you know, pure heritage, that have not inbred with other people and mixed in whatever else. Okay. It's just, again, it's just a preference thing to me. But he says here, the inbred man is always a one-soul person. The mixed breed man, a multi-soul person. Okay, so if you're like me, of white European stock, and my wife is the same way, she's not mixed at all, thereby our son is pure white, well then you're inbred. No. Inbreeding comes from marrying within your own family. All right. Pretty messed up guy here. Here he says on the next page, and I have written stupid here because it is stupid. Inbreeding strengthens the character but weakens the mind. How? Doesn't even make any sense. Miscegenation weakens the character but strengthens the mind. How? How in the world does that strengthen the mind? When inbreeding and race mixing are favorable, they result in the highest human type, combining the strongest character with the sharpest of minds. It doesn't even make any sense. Where inbreeding and race mixing are unfavorable, they result in a degenerate type with weak character and dull mind. That's why I wrote stupid. This guy, it's weird because I know the Japanese, they get into the whole dualism thing, and I see it over and over with him. It's either this or it's that. It's, you know, this dualistic worldview type of a thing. Kind of weird. But let me show you here the next page. This is page 28. The man of the future will be a mixed breed. Today's races and castes will fall victim to the increased overcoming of space, time, and prejudice. The Eurasian Negroid race of the future, similar in its features to the ancient Egyptians, will replace the diversity of nations with a diversity of personalities. According to heredity laws, variety of the descendants grows out of the variety of the ancestors, and uniformity of descendants out of uniformity of the ancestors. In single-race families, one child resembles the other because all represent one common family type. In mixed-race families, the children look different from each other. Each forms a new variation of the diverse parental and ancestral elements. And that's a good thing? Kind of weird. But you see, we're going to get rid of the white people. We have to get rid of these white people. We just have to just mix everything together. Might want to read Genesis chapter 19, I think it is, or not 19. It's let me get it real quick, because this is very important. If you don't understand the whole thing of where the races came from, what was the whole point of God creating different races? It was to get away from what this guy here is actually proposing as a thing. Genesis chapter 11, I was thinking 19, it's Sodom and Gomorrah, but that's another issue. There's some race mixing there as well. Lot was you could say a Jew, Hebrew, basically, and he went down to the city of Sodom to get a wife, and that was a Hamitic city. So he was a Shemite, and his wife was a Hamite. Race mixing, and look what it led to. Some problems. But Genesis chapter 11, verse 1, and the whole earth was of one language and of one speech. Is that what this guy's trying to do right here? Is that what he's trying to do? Whole earth of one language and of one speech? Verse 2, and it came to pass, as they journeyed from the east, that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And they said one to another, go to, let us make brick, and burn them throughly. And they had brick for stone, and slime had they for mortar. And they said, go to, let us build us a city and a tower, whose top may reach unto heaven, and let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. Okay? Is there any kind of, people say, modern people, well, it was about idol worship. They had some kind of idol thing and whatever. No, it's about a city that they're trying to build where they can all be together. They can all come together. Mix the races, mix them all up. After God told them to go out and replenish the earth after the flood in the days of Noah. Verse 5, and the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the children of men builded. And the Lord said, behold, the people is one, and they have all one language, and this they begin to do, and now nothing will be restrained from them which they have imagined to do. Go to, let us go down, and there confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. So the Lord scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of all the earth, and they left off to build the city. Therefore is the name of it called Babel, because the Lord did there confound the language of all the earth, and from thence did the Lord scatter them abroad upon the face of all the earth. Why would God do such a horrible thing? Because it wasn't horrible. It was actually beautiful. Africans have a beautiful culture in their country. Japanese have a beautiful culture in their country. Germans have a beautiful culture in their country. That's the way it's supposed to be. Separation, segregation. Biblical segregation is not the same as a racist type of segregation. Again, understand that. It's not one race is better, it's one race is different. That's the way it's supposed to be. And these devils like this guy right here, this philosopher, they want to fight against that. And again, well, I don't agree with this. I get a lot of people getting mad at me because I'm against race mixing. They get mad at me and they, and how dare you say these things? I don't think that you're right in this. Okay, let me ask you a question. Will there be a new world order in the future run by the Antichrist? You say, well, yes, I believe that that's what the Bible teaches, and it looks certainly from just even logical things. Yeah, we have a United Nations now, and there's a lot of globalist type of stuff going on. Okay. And how will that new world order be formed? By keeping the races separate, or by bringing them together? By bringing them together. And let me show you this thing here too, by the way. He says down here, page 29, race mixing, the development of a Christian mentality. I've written idiot there as I was reading the whole thing. There's a verse in the book of Acts chapter 17 where it talks about all nations are of one blood. And people say, see, we're all of one blood. We're just, there's only one race, the human race. No, actually, if you go on to read, it talks about God setting the bounds of their habitation. And again, you get into the thing of the 12 different boundaries, and God has placed people in different boundaries around the world so that they have an inheritance there. And I could go off on a whole thing there. You get into the thing of your ancestral lands, where you start to eat the real foods that your ancestors eat. You wear the kind of clothing that your ancestors wore. And you'll actually have a very happy life. You get out of the bounds, you start to have problems. So let's go to the next one here. Here we have page 32. And it says here, to these Jewish prophets who are wearing a new world epic, or preparing a new world epic. All right. Jewish prophets, they are preparing a new world epic. Interesting. What separates the Jews from the average urban citizen is mainly that they are inbred people. Well, he contradicts himself here in a little bit. You'll see what I'm talking about. Okay, now we're going to go to page 40. I'll show you what I'm talking about here. When there was still true blood nobility, the system of aristocracy by birth was fairer than that of the moneyed aristocracy today, because then the ruling caste had a sense of responsibility, culture, and tradition, whereas the class that rules today is barren of feelings of responsibility, culture, or tradition. Rare exceptions of this don't deny this fact. Okay, what is he talking about? Well, very simple. In the past, I definitely have bloodlines within my family and things that go back to nobility, aristocracy of the blood. In other words, my ancestral ties and things, and Campbell clan and the Denklingers and the Brubakers and things, and even the Fry family. Those are the four different, my grandparents. My maternal grandfather was a Fry, and that's German for free, because at one point in time, one of my ancestors would have fought in a war, and the king, whoever it would have been in Germany, declared him to be free. Fry, took the name Fry. So I have coats of arms for all four of my ancestral names, and then they go back to other names, and there's other coats of arms and everything else. And I have a tremendous sense of duty and, loyalty and things like that. But you have a lot of these people that showed up, and now they're going and they're getting into the finance world and everything else, and they are able to make more money than me because they're not honest in their business dealings, and they're using speculation and gambling and this modern false fiat currency type of thing and whatever, to build up huge amounts of wealth so that they can then get into ruling positions. And if you're a Freemason, or if you're a Knight of Columbus, or if you're this or you're that, we'll kind of fast track your political course. And then they look at somebody like me and I say, I'm not going to join any of your fraternities, and I don't want anything to do with that. Oh, well, you could just be a peasant or something. And it irritates me, because I've seen this thing of when my ancestors came here to America in the early 1700s, most of them were farmers. How do we go from being people of noble birth to being farmers? And I know there's a lot of economic stuff there and whatever else. You have, things go bad in Europe, and there's, different famines and whatever. And then some of the nobility might have gone and done some farming and whatever else. And you just keep kind of farming. And of course, some of my ancestors were very wealthy farmers. But it's irritating to see people that have no right to rule, and they're in positions of rulership. You can look at the modern fires here in Los Angeles, and you got the police chief, and she's a black female lesbian, and she's talking about how that we need people that are, that are not as white, or whatever. Yeah, well, how'd it work out there for you fighting the fires? Disgusting. And Boeing coming out and saying we need to hire less white pilots. No, you hire the best qualified. You get somebody that's a black man and he's a really good pilot and whatever else, has a great record, hire the man. It isn't about they all have to be white or anything, but if you get a bunch of white pilots and they're very good, oh, I'm sorry, our white pilot quota is full right now. We have to hire somebody who's less qualified. Bunch of satanic nonsense is what it is, and I will say it like it is. Here's page 41. While the real aristocrats of mind and heart, the wise and kind, live in poverty and powerlessness, he meant to say egotistic, and violent humans usurp their positions. Written in 1925. Remember that. A little bit further down the page here, he says, the conservative rural spirit that used to preserve noble families from extinction for centuries. Yeah. Conservative rural spirit. Now we got all these wacky liberals and things, and I'll be able to do a good job fighting things if, as a woman, I can shave my head and dye it in rainbow collars or something like this, and make fun of white people and put white people down. And oh, you're a white police officer, you have to get back in your car and leave the area or something because this is a black neighborhood, and and then you wonder why crime's exploding. Just disgusting. And if you're black out there, you understand what I'm saying. Okay? You understand what true people, you're of black ancestry and things, or Spanish or whatever else. You understand. You understand what I'm saying. And don't think for 1 minute that if they would be able to kill all the white people, don't think that they won't come after you, because they will. These people that have made lots of wealth through their scamming and scheming in the stock market. But here's page 42. It says, the current economic boom makes it easier for unscrupulous, uninhibited, and irresponsible people to earn money. For speculation and dealers' profits, luck and ruthlessness are more essential than strong will and mind. And he says, no aristocracy can last without moral authority. All right. Haven't I been preaching this for a long time? If you're aware of the channel here, if you've been watching, videos and things, these people that are in the stock market, the people that are in Hollywood and media of all different types and things, and the medical establishment and all the different big industries out there, they're unscrupulous. They don't care. Oh, hey, we're going to put out a movie that's going to make young people want to kill themselves or kill other people and things and destroy themselves, destroy their future, sterilize themselves. Is there money in it? Let's do it. Oh, hey, we're going to put out a bunch of things that you can, medicine, and this medicine, if you take it, it'll kill you. It's got poison in it. Whatever. Hey, you know what? Let's put out a bunch of food, and let's put some industrial waste like high fructose corn syrup and other things like that. Let's stick that into the food to make people more addicted to it. See, you're not going to get that from me. If I'm in a position of power, I mean, look at this ministry. Let me finish my statement. If I'm in a position of power, I'm going to have morals and things about me that, no, I can't do that. Hey, you know what? I could make a lot of money if I did this, but you know what? That would be morally wrong. I'm not doing it. See? That's the way it should be. And if you have watched this ministry, you know that I will not preach anything unless I practice it myself. Never. It never happens. Let's go to the next page here. Page 44. There we have page 44. From the majority of mankind in Europe that only believes in numbers, in majority, two quality races stand out: blood nobility and Judaism. Separate from each other, but both believe in their higher calling, in their superior blood, and in the difference of the races. In these two heterogeneous superior races lies the heart of Europe's future nobility. Kind of find that interesting, Europe's future nobility. In other words, a blending of Jew and European. Kate Middleton, what was it, Goldstein or Goldberg or something like that? Was her mother's maiden name? Huh. And they got a ketubah, a Jewish marriage agreement, basically. I have a whole video on that. She's a mingled Jew. And this guy back in 1925 is saying we need to mingle the nobility and whatever else of Europe. The only noble families really left that are in any kind of position of quote-unquote power, they're just figureheads, they're puppets, speech readers. But, they appear to be in power, yet the king and all this other stuff. Yeah, there's mingling of Jewish stuff going on there, just like he said they should do. Oh, it's been fact-checked, it's been debunked. I don't think so. I don't think so. Down here he talks about a revolutionary aristocracy is created. Thought that was kind of an interesting thing. Revolution. We're trying to create a revolution. Talking about people's races. We have to get rid of these white people. And this is accepted. This is fine. Where's this guy? I never even heard of this guy in high school. Everything I heard. See if I have the copy. Yeah, right here. I have all kinds of books in my collection that I'm not for. But, right there. I showed it on video. I guess I'm going to be flagged now or whatever else. This is demonized. This is not. How does that work? I don't quite understand that. Both are written in German. Both right around the same time period. This one is against the Jews. This one is promotional of the Jews. This one is not demonized. This one is. Kind of weird, isn't it? But give you one here coming up. This is a real doozy. Page 50. Let's look here at page number 50. Because Jews emerged from an international religious community rather than a local race, they are a nation with the most mixed blood. Wait a second. I thought he said that they're the pure inbred type people. Earlier he says that, and then now he's saying they're the people with the most mixed blood. But you ready for a good one? Check this one out. Page 51. Page 51. The intellectual master race of the Jews. The intellectual master race of the Jews? The Aryan bloodlines. Aryan blood. Master race. Terrible, horrible hate crime. Jews, master race. Intellectual master race. I don't know. It's not racism. And, you know, again, which race do you think is superior? Which race do you think is the master race? It's subjective. It's completely subjective. You cannot prove that one race is far superior intellectually to any other race, and that you know, nobody in that race is dumb or whatever else. This, you know, racial curve, the Bell IQ curve thing and all that stuff. We can prove which races are smarter. How? You know, you test certain individuals, you get them at random and whatever else. That's the whole problem with, you know, statistical science. I think it's one of the things that the Bible calls science, falsely so called. You can just pick the dumb ones out of a certain race and the smart ones out of another race and say, see, this other race is smarter than this previous race. It's nonsense. Okay? That's why I don't fall for that stuff. It's stupid. But I just find it interesting. Like I said, this book is never demonized. This book is fine, even though he said that the Jews are the intellectual master race. And he's calling for the destruction of Europe. European white people. This one calls for the destruction of Jewish people. Weird. Page 52. Only through mixing with the best blood, the viable traits of former feudal nobility will rise to new heights. Only through breeding with the top non-Jewish Europeans will the Jewish element of the future nobility reach its full potential. Is he teaching race mixing? Yes. And when is he teaching it? He's teaching it at a time when in America it was illegal. We had anti-miscegenation laws. And we do the studies, do the research. This stuff is happening. And over here he talks about, page 53, the divine laws of erotic eugenics. And I have a little question mark. You know, huh? A little bit warped in the head there, I think. All right, page 63. Let's go here. Here you have ethics and technology, the social question. The question about the destiny of European culture is, how will it be possible to protect mankind living on a narrow, cold, and barren strip of land from famine, hypothermia, homicide, and exhaustion, and give it the freedom and leisure that once gave it happiness and beauty? The answer is through the development of ethics and technology. Ethics in schools, the press, and in religion can transform European man from predator into a domestic animal. Can you imagine if he wrote that about the Jews? Isn't that something? We're animals. And make him mature enough for a free society. Technology can give the European free time and energy through increased productivity and through operating machines instead of hard labor, which is needed to expand culture. Ooh, gets the old blood boiling. So we have to get in debt with machines. Boy, I don't see that happening anymore. Guys that are too lazy to walk half mile or something like that. Oh, I have to get in a truck to drive back that far or whatever. And instead of going out and shoveling snow by hand, they have all kinds of tractors and all kinds of other things and whatever else. I'm not against tractors, you know, don't get excited here. But you know what I'm saying. I did a video a while back where they were using an excavator mulcher thing, and they have this big thing on it, and there's this big spinning, stuff, and just smashing trees down instead of actually going out there and pruning the trees or felling them by hand and whatever else. Well, it saves time and money, man. It's all about time and money. It's also putting men out of work. And this year, 2025, there's going to be a huge expansion of artificial intelligence. And all of a sudden, a lot of people are going to realize, hey, you know what? I don't have a job anymore. Huh. I had some dim-wit white guy come here. I don't have a smart meter. I've been resisting it. You know, I had to sign a form not to pay $11 extra a month, whatever, to keep a smart meter off of this office here, the ministry office. And this dimwit came along and he's trying to use all kinds of little intimidation tactics and all this other stuff on me. Stupid guy doesn't realize if he's going out and checking the meters, if I put a smart meter on and so does everybody else, he loses his job. Okay, well, they'll have him do something else. Yeah, but somebody's going to lose their job that they don't have to drive around and look at the meters anymore. People aren't thinking, oh, but it's going to make our lives easier. It's going to make our lives better. No, it's not. No, it's not. And this, this nonsense of, how will it be possible to protect mankind living on a narrow, cold, and barren strip of land? One of the reasons I moved to northern Maine, because you can get a lot of land for cheap. That's why. I own a lot of land. I do. Lord blessed me with a really good property. I paid about $350 an acre for it. Okay? You say, $350 an acre? Yeah, that's right. You get it after it's been logged, you can get it for really cheap. Okay? I mean, if it's just been logged that year, at least in the past, you could get it for about $200 an acre. Yeah, and you can get a lot of it. I know, guys, I bought a truck from a guy up here who had 700 acres of land. I don't have anywhere near that, but I'm saying 700 acres of land. One guy living there. Single guy. Younger guy. Okay? There's guys up here. I saw a property for sale up north of us. 1,900 acres of land. Regularly, there's properties coming up, 200, 300, 400 acres of land and whatever else. What do you mean narrow strip of land here? Narrow, cold, and barren strip of land. Famine, hypothermia, homicide, and exhaustion. What? So me going out into the woods in the wintertime and, pruning trees and going out and collecting things and whatever and hunting, gathering throughout the year and things and fishing and whatever. I'm dying of exhaustion. And we want to make it so that you can have freedom, free time and energy through increased productivity and through operating machines instead of hard labor, which is needed to expand culture. Oh, you mean your culture. You don't mean my white Nordic culture. See, that's the whole thing. That's what this racist devil here wants. Because you can't control people like me. Oh, we're going to shut the power off. Power gets shut off here. You know what I do? I go home to my property where I don't have grid power. Wow, would you stay warm? With my wood stove. How'd you go to the bathroom? Outhouse or composting toilet. How'd you have any food? Oh, that's not a problem in the wintertime. We can freeze our food here without electricity or anything else. I can do just fine. I wear nice thick clothing, multiple layers of clothing. It's not some kind of a horrible thing, but you see what he's doing is he's trying to push his culture on me. That's the problem here. That's racism. Racism is not saying there's differences between races. That's not racism. Racism is saying my race or a race is superior to your race and you and your way of life should be eliminated. That's true racism. That's disgusting to me. Page 64. Let's go here. Page 64. At the top here it says, technology wants to abolish hardship so that people don't have to be poor. What right do you have to even say a thing like that? Hey, you don't have to be poor. Well, what if I like being like this? What if I like my life being simple and I'd rather go out and spend my day hiking in the woods or go out fishing? Well, that's not very efficient. We should, come up with ways to make it more efficient for you. Fishing is not very smart and whatever. Hey, you know what? I'd rather go out and spend my day doing that than going and working for you. See how this racist man right here is pushing his ways on me and on you if you're white? And even if you're not white, I mean, I know other people that are very much into nature as well. Okay, here we go. Let's go up here. I have idiot written. You'll see why. Europe must exorcise the horrors of starvation and hypothermia which constantly threaten her citizens. She can achieve this only through technology. idiot. That's about the only way I can really talk about this thing here. The horrors of starvation and hypothermia. Okay. No, I actually like the cold. We enjoy the cold. I like to go snowshoeing. I like to go out and do things like that. We have to rescue you through technology. You know, they're trying to, you know, up here in the northeast of, you know, America, the New England states, you know, they're very dependent on red diesel. Home heating oil is just red diesel. It's diesel with some red dye in it. And they're trying to, you know, diminish that. And we need to put heat pumps on people's homes. And we'll give you some money, some kickbacks and whatever to put heat pumps on your homes and whatever. And I see these people with the heat pumps. They have to have one in every room, you know. Well, then you're saying that you're for red diesel? No, I'm not saying that. I'm for wood stoves. Small places with a wood stove. That's the ancient Nordic way, heating with wood, you know, that grows back. It's good for the forest to thin out the trees, the cull trees, you know. They're hewn down and cast into the fire, the Bible talks about. Page 71 here. Heat forces man to limit his activity to a minimum. The cold forces him to increase it to a maximum. Yeah. Now, some of the things he says in here I agree with. You know, the guy's not completely stupid. But I agree with that. When it's cold, it forces you to move. You know that if you're a hunter. Okay? Best time to hunt is not when it's 70 degrees outside if you're deer hunting. You want the deer to move. Deer will just lay down and not go anywhere if they hear hunters in the area. If they can smell hunters and sense that they're around, yeah, bad time to hunt. You want it to be cold. They have to get up and move. All right? And as far as Nordic people are concerned, we're very active people. Oh, we just sit around doing, you know, whatever. No. There's a lot of activities up here. You know, I see trucks coming up through, you know, going up now, up north here with snowmobiles, you know, sleds and things like that to start the big snowmobiling season. There's a lot to do in the north. It's not we're not starving or having horrible times or whatever else. All right, page 75. Here we have that. Europe's world mission is to liberate humanity through technology. Okay, and remember, like I said, 1925, no cell phones, no televisions, no, you know, radios really back then. I mean, there would have been some early ones, but, you know, 1925, this guy's coming out with this stuff. Very few people had cars in 1925. I mean, you know, the Model T and thing would have been out for a while, but what I'm saying is most people didn't have those in 1925. We're going to liberate, you know, people. I don't like to use the, you know, humanity thing, but we're going to liberate people through technology. Oh, you mean liberate to control? Yes, I think so. Look at this one. Here's another crazy one. Page 76. He says, in Jewish mythology, the European spirit corresponds to Lucifer. Isn't that nice to write? You know, what do you mean by Jewish mythology? The Bible, Old Testament scriptures. Nice thing to say. But here we actually get to the quote where he talks about the extinction of European white people. Okay, I'm going to show it to you right now. Page 79. Here it is. It says, in 10,000 years, history will be divided in the pre- and post-technological ages. The Europeans, who by that time will be long extinct, right there, that's a racist statement, will, as the fathers of the technological world change, be praised as saviors. So they'll be praised as saviors, but they're extinct. They don't exist anymore. Isn't that nice? I'll go to page 91. It says here, Europe must understand that technological progress is a liberation war against the hardest, cruelest, and most uncharitable tyrant, Nordic nature. And there's my thoughts on it as I was reading through the book here. hardest, cruelest, and most uncharitable tyrant, Nordic nature. What did we read in the King James Bible here? God's throne is on the sides of the north? Do you think that he might actually be, in his own way, saying that the hardest, cruelest, and most uncharitable tyrant, do you think he's referring to God, since God's throne is in the north? I think so. You see, these people that are rebelling against God, they're going out and they're race mixing and things, and just hatefully doing this, saying, we're doing this thing to get rid of the white people. That's why they're doing it. Okay? I mean, ultimately, that's the philosophers that came out with this whole race mixing thing. Let's get rid of white people. We'll breed them out. We'll get rid of them. That's racism. It truly is. But you see, what's really behind it? Well, you go back to Genesis chapter 11. The people is one. The people are all coming together. The people are saying, let's get rid of our differences. Let's change things here. And God says, no, I want you to split up. God wants to preserve the races. God doesn't want everybody to just be this mingled mongrel mess. And I don't need to hear in the comments section if people are watching this, oh, I'm mingled. That's your thing and whatever else. I don't, that's not what I'm doing in this study. I'm not talking about that. All right. This is a study for white people. All right. You can watch it if you're any other race, whatever else. I don't care. But what I'm saying is, I'm seeing attacks on me just because of the color of my skin and because of my ancestry. I have a right to fight back against that. And if I can't do it here, I'll do it someplace else. But let's continue here. A couple more quotes and then we'll be done. Page 93, he says, talking about the modern era, the technology stuff, poisons become remedies, deadly viruses become vaccinations. A little exclamation mark there. Look what he just admitted to here. Oh, we have to ban you. That's medical disinformation. Okay, ban him. I'm not the one that wrote that. He wrote that, 1925. Page 94. The chemist who succeeds in making wood edible would free the people from the yoke of famine. Okay, go to the grocery store sometime. You can find it in Parmesan cheese a lot of times. You'll see powdered cellulose. You know what that is? Sawdust. Okay, now you say, well, it's a plant fiber and whatever. Yeah, but they can use sawdust as powdered cellulose. Check it out. Look at all the different foods and things. A lot of bread crumbs and things. It'll have powdered cellulose in it. The chemist who succeeds in making wood edible. They did it. They did it. You would have had mostly whole foods in the stores and whatever and grown on the farms back there in 1925. Now here we are in 2025, exactly 100 years later. We have wood fiber in the stores, in the food. Back to page 94. Neither ethics, nor art, nor religion, nor politics will wipe out the biblical curse, but technology. Technology will wipe out the biblical curse. Organic technology, medicine is expected to banish the woman's curse. With painful labor, you will give birth to children. Inorganic technology is expected to banish the man's curse. By the sweat of your brow, you will eat your bread. He's quoting, I don't know, just making up his own thing. It's not quoting the King James Bible. But the whole point is, he's saying we can use technology to get rid of the things the Bible says. We will get rid of the Bible, we'll get rid of the scriptures through technology, modern technology. Has it happened? Has it happened? Denlinger's a crazy kook. Has it happened? Yes, it has. What this devil wrote back here 100 years ago, it's happened. Oh, it's been debunked. There's no such thing and whatever. You're crazy. It's a conspiracy theory. No, it happened. Now look at this as he describes what I believe was the Antichrist. Page 95. Let me show you. We too are facing a world turn. Humanity today expects the socialist era to be the dawn of the golden era. The hoped for world change will come, maybe, but not through politics, but by technology. Look at this worship of technology. not by a revolutionary, but by an inventor, not through Lenin, but by a man who may already be living, nameless somewhere today, and who will someday succeed in liberating humanity from famine, frost, and to get them out of the north, and forced labor by opening up new, unimagined energy sources. And I have written Antichrist. New, unimagined energy sources. Right up the road here in town. You go right up this way, Main Street, you turn left on Shin Pond Road. And right up there on the left, there's a solar farm that they built. And you know what the funny thing is? These solar panels, they used to, in the summer months, they're all pointed the same way towards the sun. And then as the day goes on, they go flat, and then they go this way, to get the sun as it goes over like that into the west, But the interesting thing is, now that it's wintertime, the panels are all different, going all different ways and things. And some are covered with snow and others don't have quite enough snow on them, or much snow and whatever else. And I just saw they put in a big, huge propane tank, like one of those big white hot dog or sausage looking things, big white propane tank. Wait a second. Why do you need to have propane on site at a solar panel big thing there? Solar panel farm? Why do you need a propane tank? Isn't that going against what you supposedly are trying to prove with your green technology there? You see these pictures of people with Tesla cars and there's a generator strapped to the back or something. Gas generator. And how are you charging your Tesla car there, Einstein? Oh, that's right. You have to plug into the power grid, which is coal-fired power plants and things. And but we're going to have technology here with new, unimagined energy sources. We have to bring technology. Look at the nightmare world that they're trying to create here. Okay. Saw a Jewish professor. She did a wonderful job. Deborah Tavares, I think her name was. And she did a lecture in, I think it was Sydney, Australia, a number of years ago. You can look it up. It's probably still on YouTube. Maybe, unless the powers that be took it down. But she was talking about the thing of cell phone radiation. And she got into the thing of 5G technology. You hear all this stuff. 5G, it's 5G, all this other stuff. Okay, 5G is a millimeter wave technology. And in order for it to work, it's actually a military weapon created by Israel, used to control crowds and things of people. But in order for 5G to work, you have to have lots of antennas close by each other. And she said it is scientifically impossible to make 5G available everywhere. Okay, 5G doesn't work everywhere. Tesla cars. It is a known fact that their battery life is terrible when you go into northern environments. That camera right there that I'm being recorded on right here, if I take that camera outside, which I've done different times, and I record in the winter, the battery life goes down a lot quicker. So we have a solar farm up here that gets covered by snow, and they have to bring in propane to try to, I guess, keep the snow off of it, or I'm not sure what they're using it for, some kind of generator, backup generator, or Lord only knows what. We have millimeter wave technology that does not work in the northern environment. We have all different types of things. This whole smart technology stuff and whatever else. And I remember a guy said the one time, he said, if you hear smart technology, just replace the word smart with surveillance. Okay? So it's not a smartphone, it's a surveillance phone. It's not a smart car, it's a surveillance car. It's monitoring everything and filming everything and whatever else. Kind of an interesting thing there. You have this Tesla Cybertruck thing that this guy did, this special operations guy went out there to Las Vegas, I think it was, to the Trump building out there, and he blew up the thing and whatever else. And they have cameras everywhere. Why don't you show some of those camera angles? They released a few of the videos and things, because while you're driving the car, you're just being filmed all the time inside that car. No, thank you. I'll take my old vintage vehicles. Thank you very much. And if they try to take those away, then I'll find another mode of transportation. But all this smart stuff and whatever, this technology, it's all about surveillance. And it's all about getting you to move south, which is the plan. That's their plan. That's always been the plan. To attack the tyranny of the North. What is the tyranny of the North? what are they really saying? They want to get you away from God. The God of the Bible. Thus saith the Lord, thou shalt not. Those are absolute statements that a devil would consider to be tyrannical. But you see, if you understand the Bible, if you truly understand the Bible, truly read it as it stands, and you realize the God who wrote this is a logical God, and he requires certain things, and he calls certain things sin that are bad for man. And this God wants you to succeed. He wants to have a relationship with you. He wants you to talk to him. He wants you to thank him for what he's made out there. And I've talked about that for years. I'm not going to go off on a big tangent on that, but it's just pretty amazing. But let's continue here. Page 97. Technology alone can break slavery and save culture. I don't think so. The ultimate goal of technology is the replacement of slave labor through machine work, elevating the whole of humanity into a class of men in whose service an army of natural forces work in the form of machines. The machine is the liberation of people from the slave labor era. Through machines, a mind can do more work and create more value than millions of hands. Complete and total lie. I'll tell this story. I think I've told this in other studies, but many years ago, when I was a professional wood turner, there was an Amishman that actually had a big replicator lathe. His lathe was, I think, $35,000, computerized lathe. Amishman, you know, oh, they don't have electricity. Oh, yeah, right. Yes, they do. And I remember he had this, and he took me out to his shop in the barn, and he had this little wooden panel on his floor, and he lifted up the panel, and there was an electrical outlet in there, and he took the computerized lathe and plugged it in, and he looked up at me, and he grinned, and he said, don't tell the bishop. Yeah, he had more technology than I did as an Englisher. But anyhow, so he's, you know, showing me how his computerized lathe works. It had this little thing, you put the pattern up here, and then the blank of wood down here, and it would follow the pattern, and it would carve out the, you know, the bottom spindle as it's, you know, spinning on this lathe, and he could set it at different speeds and all different types of modes, you know. Knew how to work this computer thing. I wouldn't have known what to do with that thing, but the low technology Amishman, yeah, he knew. But so he was doing chair spindles, and they went and they found this historic book, and it had this really detailed spindle in it, and from a chair that was made by hand back in the 1700s. And he said to me, he showed me this picture, and he said, could you replicate that and on your lathe and make a pattern that I could put it on my duplicator lathe, and then I could make these spindles for this chair company? And I said, yeah, I can do that. And I said, you know, how long do you want it to be? What diameter? And I actually, you know, drew it from the actual book, and then I made it, you know, 18 inches long or something like that, whatever it was. Made it out of black cherry, and I literally turned it on my lathe, put all the different beads and little coves in and everything else, and it was beautiful. Turned out really nice, and he paid me for it. And he went and put it on his replicator lathe. He couldn't replicate it because the angles and things of the different things were too sharp. So his little replicator, it had a little roller on it, and it would hit those real sharp angles and things, little V grooves and things like that, and it would roll through there. He couldn't replicate it. So this nut here says, oh, technology can do better than people's hands. I don't think so. I don't think so. And I mean, look around you. Look at the modern world. Look at modern clothing compared to old clothing. Look at modern cars compared to old cars. Look at modern anything. You know, the old saying, they don't make it the way they used to. Yeah, been proven true, you know, how many millions of times. We like to talk about the MIC rule, made in China, MIC, you know. The MIC rule, what's that? 2 to 3 years and you have to replace it. Any crap that comes out of China, you have to replace it in a couple years. Why? Because they thrift everything. I mean, there's so much that goes along with this study. Believe me. Thrifting. You make something really good, technology's made really good at first, and then they make it cheaper so that they can increase their profit margins. Look it up. I'm not joking. Make it with cheaper parts and everything else. Here we go, page 98. Dismantling the big city. In addition to these two tasks, alleviating need by increasing productivity and dismantling slavery by reducing and individualizing work, the machine has a third cultural mission, the dissolution of the modern metropolis and the return of man to nature. Okay? And I read that and I thought to myself, the return of man to nature. Well, that would go against their agendas and whatever. No, not really. Because what they're saying is they're going to bring man out here through technology, which is exactly what's happened. I mean, literally there's a house in the area here, and I've seen their license plate. They have a talk, tag license plate, and it's "I hate winter." H, and the number 8 and T, and then WNTR or something. I hate winter. The letter I first. And, and I think, if you hate winter, what are you doing living in northern Maine? Well, they're here because of technology. A lot of people are here because of technology. Go around griping and complaining about the cold and everything else. Yeah. But see, they want to make their smart cities. And again, you can watch the stuff from Elon Musk, that devil. That guy's a devil. I get so sick and tired. Oh, Elon Musk, he's such a freedom guy. He spoke at a Trump rally. Wow. Oh, you mean the guy that wants to put an implantable microchip into your head and everybody's brains? The guy that wants to take away our gas cars and our freedom. The guy that puts vehicles out there that track everything that you do and that they can shut them down if they want to. Yeah, that guy. Yeah. But Muskie there, he was coming out and he was talking about the thing of, we'll eventually have autonomous everything and we'll have these smart cities and whatever else. And the airport of the future will have trees all around it and things because there will be nobody driving their car there because you'll just have a robot taxi come and pick you up and take you to the airport. Saw a video yesterday. My son and I were watching this. Some guy's in this Uber, autonomous vehicle, and the stupid thing's just driving around in circles in the parking lot. And the guy's calling up the help thing and he's saying, I can't get out of the vehicle. The thing is just driving around in circles. He said, I'm going to miss my flight. Crazy. But let me read some more about this. It's page 99 here. The origins of the modern metropolis came at a time when the horse was the fastest means of transport and there was no telephone. At that time, it was necessary for people to live in close proximity to their workplaces and as a result lived in a cramped space. Technology has created these conditions. Fast train, car, bicycle, and the telephone allow the worker to live many miles away from his office. There is no need for the construction of, I think you got a little bit misprint there, of the construction and accumulation of rental barracks. Okay, sorry about that, misspelling in the book. In the future, people will have the opportunity to live next to each other instead of on top of each other. Breathing healthy air in gardens and living healthy, clean, decent lives in bright and spacious rooms. Electric and gas ovens will protect against the winter cold, electric lamps against the long winter nights. The human spirit will triumph over the winter and make the northern zone just as comfortable as the moderate one. Isn't that what they've done here 100 years later? The development towards the Garden City has already begun. The rich are leaving the centers of the big cities and settle on their periphery or their surroundings, like the suburbs, in other words. The new industrial cities are expanding horizontally instead of vertically. At a higher level, the cities of the future will be somewhat similar to those of the Middle Ages. As the low civic houses were grouped around a huge cathedral, thus will be a huge skyscraper which will include all public and private offices and dining hall, surrounded by the low houses and wide gardens of the Garden City in industrialized cities. The factory will be the central cathedral of work. The devotion of the people in these cathedrals of the future will be the work for the community. Those not tied to the city by profession will live in the countryside and take part in the conveniences, activities, and diversions of the cities through long-distance services and wireless connections. Isn't this what we're seeing? Isn't this crazy? And, let me just say this before I continue. This thing of the forested cities and whatever. Look at the cities that they're planning. The Neom and the line and whatever else, this big long thing. It's people not living on top of each other. They're living, the sideways thing. They're converting shopping malls, old shopping malls, into apartment complexes here in America. So it's not just a high rise. It's you can live down this way and go down that hallway and whatever else. So is this a coincidence? He was writing about it back in 1925, and it's just happening by coincidence. Or is this one of the rule books of the globalists? One of their main philosophical texts? I'll let you decide. But I know what my decision is. Continuing here on page 100. There will come a time when people will not understand how it was once possible to live in the stone labyrinths we now know as modern big cities. The ruins will then be admired as today the caves of the cave dwellers. Doctors will scratch their heads how it was possible from the standpoint of hygiene that people could live and thrive in such an environment, closed off from nature, freedom, light, and air, in such an atmosphere of soot, smoke, dust, and dirt. All right? Is that what we're seeing again? The pollution levels in these big cities. Well, those need to be eliminated. Could they do that with World War III? Get rid of the cities. Oh, the cities have been bombed and everything. You get the mass casualty thing to warp people's minds, and you get the agenda of getting the people out into the countryside into these smart, garden cities. Sure. The coming downsizing of the big city as a consequence of the upturn in traffic engineering is a necessary precondition for real culture, because in the unnatural and unhealthy atmosphere of today's big city, people are systematically poisoned and crippled, body, soul, and spirit. The urban culture is a marsh plant because it is born by degenerate, morbid, and decadent people who have voluntarily or involuntarily fallen into this dead-end life. And I hear that from a lot of city people. They say, oh yeah, it's a dead end in here. You can't get out of this place and whatever. Goes on to say, technology is able to offer modern human beings more happiness and possibilities than past years offered their princes and kings. Is that true? Yes, he's right on that. Sure. He's exactly correct on that. But this is all by design. Okay, here we have page 101. The basis for such a fulfilled life has been created by technology. For the chosen few, technology has turned the forests and swamps into a cultural paradise. Man does not need to despair. He has never been so close to his goal as he is today. What goal? Could it be the goal of Genesis chapter 3? Ye can be as gods, knowing good and evil? I wonder. Page 102. Just as everyone today wears a watch and owns a mirror, so maybe in a century or so, every person could have a car, his own villa, and his own telephone. 1925, 2025. Welcome to the future. Aristocratization of humanity. We all become kings. Or, as Satan said, ye can be as gods. Why not? We can do it through technology. Just take the mark in the right hand or in the forehead. Elon Musk will provide you with the Neuralink. Page 103. The optimistic, life-affirming asceticism of the technological age is preparing God's kingdom on earth, clearing the earth for paradise. For this purpose, it moves mountains, rivers, and lakes, wraps the globe in wires and rails, creates plantations from forests and farmland from steppes. Like a supernatural being, man is changing the surface of the earth according to his needs. Supernatural being. Ye can be as gods. This man is inspired by Satan. But you don't have to believe it. Everything's fine. Everything's okay. We don't have anything to worry about. There's nothing to see here. Yeah. Page 106. Cinema is about to replace today's theater, yesterday's church. Has it happened? Yes. In all of its artistic deficiencies, film is already beginning to unconsciously carry a new gospel to the masses, the gospel of power and beauty. Again, I shall say, 1925, written in 1925. Film is already beginning to unconsciously carry a new gospel to the masses, the gospel of power and beauty. Page 130. Technology without ethics must lead to catastrophes, just as ethics without technology. If Europe makes no progress in ethical terms, it has to stumble from one world war to another. These will be the more terrible the higher technology develops. It would be equally ridiculous and cowardly to fight and condemn technology as such because of the possibility of technological and cultural disasters. Okay, so technology without ethics leads to catastrophes. Okay, but we shouldn't condemn technology just because it might destroy everybody. You know, I mean, hey, you know what? Like I said, another thing here. I'm going to make a fully automatic rifle that toddlers can use. It's going to have a special recoil dampening things in it and things like that, so that toddlers can use it. It's a 30 caliber, you know, it's shooting 308 rounds or maybe 30-06. I'll go even bigger, and little, you know, I'll make it so that 2-year-olds can handle the recoil. You say, well, that would be a really bad idea. Yes, it would be a bad idea. You have to look at that and say, you know, even if I could create that technology, it wouldn't be serving anybody. It'd be a bad thing. You know, let's make a brain implantable microchip. Yeah, that way we can control people's thoughts and tell them to be good people. Let's do some kind of millimeter wave technology so that we can put things into people's minds. Be a good citizen, obey the law, you know, they live, kind of a thing. It's interesting too, because the They Live movie thing, it said by 2025. I did another video on that. Pretty weird. Okay. Down here, page 130. It depends on ethics whether technology will lead people to hell or heaven. I think it's going to be to hell. I mean, again, think of the ultimate, the highest level. Revelation chapter 13, read it. Chapter 13 in the King James Bible talks about this mark of the beast. No man might buy or sell save he that had the mark. Are we heading in that direction? Where we don't use precious metals to buy anything? We don't use cash to buy anything? Now we're into digital, and eventually it will be a mark? A scannable barcode, or maybe not a barcode, but a QR code or something like that? A chip below the skin? They already have these things. They can already, you know, go to different countries. You can just, you know, get the chip in your hand and whatever else. You can beep, just walk through something. It's crazy. Self-checkout lines and all the stuff. You can see it happening. This book here prophesied it. This book here is saying, here's how we do this thing. Just keep telling yourself that the Bible is just a mythological book and whatever else, and doesn't have any bearing on today and things. Yeah. But look at this. You say, oh, come on. You said a couple times that this guy's inspired by Satan. That's just ridiculous. Come on here. Let's look at page 132. Talking about all this stuff here, you can read this whole paragraph, but he talks about the romance of the occult. Fill the bleakness of everyday life with wonders and secret societies. Down here he's talking about Steiner, and he says the riches of the occult. He's into occultism. Look what he says here. Last quote. Page 134. He says, evolved human being as king of the earth. So this man right here is saying we're going to get rid of white people. We're going to get rid of people that are of noble birth. People that have said, you know what, I'm not going to mix. I'm going to keep my culture. I'm going to say, hey, you know what? I don't make a living that way. That's dishonest. I'm not going to make a living through the stock market and speculation and whatever else. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to get my hands dirty. I'm going to get some good scars on my hands and things work by the sweat of my brow. I'm not going to rely on a lot of technology. I'm going to understand the thing of I'm going to stay debt free. I'm not going to go and try to finance everything else and whatever. I'm going to do my best. Or if you do have financing, it's not a whole big, huge, ridiculous, you're financing everything you want. You just finance what you need. I'm still against that, but you know, I believe in being debt free, working hard. Oh, well, no, we need to get rid of all those types of people. We need to get people away from the north, that northern tyranny. God, in other words. And we need to be looking for the evolved human being, the Antichrist. There it is, 100 years ago. So I'm going to be talking more about this subject as time goes on because it's very important. But I'll just say a few things. Another place in here, I didn't show the quote, but another place in here he talks about different things that kind of set back their agenda. And one of the things was the thing of hunting, a strong hunting culture. I forget where that's at in here. But he talks about the thing of a strong hunting culture, that it goes against what they're trying to achieve. So you want to preserve the white race. If you're white out there, and you can make this your race as well, if you're black, Hispanic, whatever, Oriental, whatever you are, take this to heart. Look at your old ancestral ways. Respect old things. Okay, China, when the communists came into power there, they got rid of the olds. Old technologies, old ways, old culture, old language, old, whatever, old beliefs. That was not of the Lord. That was a bad thing. Go back to the old paths. The Bible talks about it in the book of Jeremiah. Ask for the old paths, where is the good way, and walk therein, and ye shall find rest for your souls. What did your parents do? What did your grandparents do? What did your great-grandparents do? All right? Respect old ways. Learn old things. I'm raising my son to know how to use a wood stove, and to know how to use axes and things like that. I want him to be able to have a lot of skills that his ancestors would have had. Respect old things, number one. Number two, get mad at me all you want to, but you need to marry somebody of your own race. Not a cousin or something, or your sister or whatever, like this, oh, it's inbred. That's not inbred to marry somebody that's of your own race. All right? You want to preserve your culture, your ancestry, and everything else, then you need to marry somebody of your own race. Not because you look down on other races, but it's because of similarity. Okay? Just that simple. All right? Number three, don't fight in the wars that these idiots come up with, because I'm convinced that one of their big agendas, these globalist agendas, is the thing of the different wars that were fought, especially in the 20th century, the bloodiest century in the history of man. More people died as a result of democide, governments killing their own people, than in all other recorded history. There was a lot of death and dying and killing in the 20th century. Very bad time. All right? And that's how they eliminate you. The Civil War here in America back in the 19th century was another one that they did. These Satanists, these followers of the devil, he wasn't, obviously, this is before his time, but what I'm saying is they got white men to kill white men. And if they get you fighting each other through divide and conquer tactics, they can kill whites and whites against each other. They can also do it through race type of stuff, getting the races pitted against each other. So then you get blacks mad at whites, and they start to fight each other and kill each other. All right? This mixed breed type of philosophy right here is what's toxic. That's what's dangerous. Avoid their wars. Stay out of their militaries. All right? Learn to do things for yourself. And learn the Nordic ways. Learn the, things like doing firewood, heating yourself with wood. It's a renewable resource. Get yourself some land. Learn how to hunt and forage and all the ancient ancestral ways. Learn those ways, and you'll find there's great freedom in that. All right? So, like I said, I'll be putting more work into this in the future, because I can see now a lot more clearly the agenda that these globalists have. Why they hate the white races so much. Because the white races are the ones that can live in the North. And they have a hard time controlling the North. And you see it, like with Russia. How many different people have tried to conquer Russia? You had Napoleon trying to march into Moscow and take over and things. You had Hitler going in there in World War II, trying to attack the Russians. Not a good place to fight in the wintertime. Okay? You had the Russians and the Finnish, people fighting and things up there in the wintertime and whatever. That's rough to fight in the winter. Unless you're a Nordic person. Then you understand how to dress for the North. Okay? Again, study the natural fiber thing. The wool, the importance of wool. And northern fibers like linen as well. More so than cotton. There's a whole lot I could say. But hopefully I've given you an idea here, some things to think about if you're a young man and your ancestry is a white European ancestry. You're here in America or you're over there in Europe. I know I have a lot of European viewers. Don't let this disgusting satanic integration that's coming into your countries, don't let it destroy your beliefs. You stick by what you know is right. And don't fall for their little speculation and everything else, ways to make a lot of money quickly. Don't do that. So it's a very long video, but I have a lot to discuss on this thing. I wanted to show the quotes from that book just to kind of debunk this whole fact-checking thing. Oh, clergy, you know, that whole thing. It's not about eliminating white people. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. The Nordic people, they want to eliminate us. Just as plain and simple as that. So that will be it. And I thank you very much for watching. And like I said, look for future videos on this topic. I'm going to put some videos here at the end where you can watch about the thing of the, you know, my video on the Havamal and on a lot of the Nordic pagan type of stuff. What you need to understand there as a Nordic pagan, the Bible is not telling you to get rid of every single one of your beliefs and then you have to walk around acting like you're Jewish or something. That's not what the Bible's teaching. Not at all. God is a Nordic God. God is a God of the North. That's where his throne is. All right. So that's going to be it. Please study the issue more. Thank you for watching.